Okay, I think I'm back and I'm waiting for Lawrence on a new link. And I have no idea whether the chat is working or not. If it's not, so be it. I'll try again next week to get the chat to work. So here's Lawrence. Hi, Lawrence.
Right, we're live again.
Camera's working this time. I don't know if we have the chat going, but if we don't, my apologies. So we're back. That's what's important. So, hi, Lawrence. Missed you for 2 weeks. Chatting you up on Facebook is one thing, but seeing your smiling face on one of our hangouts is awesome. So, okay, Lee says no chat. All right. Well, what I'm going to try to do is mess around in a minute here and try to live stream this, and we'll see what happens. Now that it's already started, I don't know if it can live stream, but otherwise we'll try that again next week, and I will try to figure out what all the glitches were. I already had it all figured out. So so hi, Lawrence, and here we are. So we're gonna change up our format a little bit, as you can see. Hopefully it won't be like this from here on out, but the idea is Lawrence and I to go back to where we started this thing several months ago, and that's he and I investigating what the heck is going on with flat Earth. And the old show was This Week in Flat Earth, and it was fun, and well, it lasted. And but now we're moving on to more intense studies of what's wrong with the flat Earth maps and models and all that kind of stuff. So we've been down the Shield Road and all that kind of stuff, and had our Watergate episode, and named some people who we thought were involved in some shenanigans inside the flat Earth. And I think that had actually had a very positive outcome, even though there were a whole bunch of people who were pretty upset with us. But one of the things that came out of it, and Lawrence can attest to that, is now finally people are talking about the errors and omissions and disinformation and misinformation associated with the flat Earth map / model / circle dance we've all been doing. So what do you want to start? What do you want to start with, Lawrence? And let's kick this thing off.
I was wanting to start, Laurie, with the scale of the problem that we're up against. It's like me and you are the only people, bar a handful of others who are putting a few videos out, and they are less than a handful. Literally everybody of any note who people have heard of, they are all pushing the false model, either deliberately or through ignorance. And I just had a quick run through today. So these are the people who are pushing the false model. So let's go through one or two of them. These were just ones I picked out in about 10 minutes. So we've got Russian Vids, he's pushing it. Flatwater, he's pushing it. Rob Skiba, Celebrate Truth. Mark Sargent, well, we all know he's doing that, and he's still doing it on his numerous shows that he's getting invited to, despite all the contrary evidence proving that it's a crock of shit. John Lamorgile, he's been on the show all this time, and he's still working against it, and he's still, you know, in favour of everything that Rowbotham's coming out with. Eric DeBay, everything he does is based on Rowbotham. Matt Powland, David Weiss, constantly trying to push this circular map with a circulating sun. Odd TV, Jeranism, Patricia Steer, Wakey, otherwise known as Mark Knight, Jeffrey Grupp, A Plain Truth, Allegedly Dave, otherwise known as D Murphy 25, Jesse Spots, and Santos Bonacci, which covers virtually all of them. Not forgetting My Perspective. I didn't think he was involved with it, but I was looking through his videos today. He's doing it, as is Stinky Cash and Ashley Webster. So that doesn't leave that many more. And there are plenty more out there who are all doing this. Yeah, and we've spent 13 weeks telling them exactly what's wrong with it, and they're still persisting with it as though we've never said a word. And that's the problem we've got. And unless we can get more people involved in exposing this conspiracy within the flat Earth movement, we're scuppered. But that's where we're at. They're all doing it, and they flooded YouTube with all this false information. And you could go through the top 100 videos out there, and you might find 2 or 3 who are genuine. There's one come out recently. Darren Nesbitt, he did a presentation where I did over at New Horizons. And Darren's got a lot of friends, and that video has had about 130,000 views in about 2 weeks. And he did mention in his video that the AE map and the path of the sun are completely wrong. Funnily enough, there's no comments on there from Mr. Sargent or Ms. Steer. Wonder why that might be. So we're up against it. They're all doing it, and this is deliberate. This is a deliberate ploy to send everybody down the wrong track, and give them false hope, because we may well get the flat Earth in mainstream, but it isn't going to be the one we want. It's going to be one that's based on the dome.
Well, I think
did I miss anybody out there?
I don't think you missed anybody.
So you people that I named there, you are all accused of pushing a false flat Earth model. You're aware of this now. You haven't heard it before. You're aware of it now, and you need to go back and review what you've done and correct your work if you're genuine flat earthers. 1 or 2 of these people may be genuine, but you need to start readdressing what you're doing if you care about getting the true nature of where we live into the public. It's what, sorry?
I think you missed David Weiss.
Oh, I had David Weiss. He's very active with his 30-second videos, doing his best. I mean, David Weiss has even got a video of mine on his, which I never gave him permission to put out there. And he's got one of my the only video I've done, and he's chopped bits of it out and he's stuck it on his YouTube watch list, to watch list, which is crazy.
Apparently, there's no required permission for people to just hack up your videos and add little fluff pieces in with it, or attack pieces or whatever. So if they get to do it, then they get to do it.
The interesting thing is that
say whatever we want to say too, don't we?
All those names that I read out, they all got the Flat Earth Oscars. I wonder why that might be.
Yeah, did you get a flatty?
Me, no. They wouldn't dream.
I didn't even watch the flatties. Did anybody who we know win?
No genuine flat earthers won anything.
Okay, well, all right. Well, the whole idea here is not to create division, and it seems that there's division coming from everywhere, and mostly from the top down. And a lot of people would say, well, what are you talking about? You guys are the ones who are naming names and having Watergates and so on and so forth. But when the truth be known, what's most important is the information that people are putting out. Is it responsible? Is it true? Has it been verified? Is there anything anybody's saying that with their little maps and models that is any kind of proof, any kind of proven? And why is it that people like Lawrence and I have to resort to calling out names of people who continue to put these little circular maps and these little circular models with these little circular domes plopped over the top of them, and none of which is proven, and none of which can be verified. And Lawrence and I are going to attempt to break down for you everything that's wrong with this model that has totally usurped anything and everything in the flat earth movement. And this model was in place before I got here, and which has been nearly a year ago now. And Lawrence has been involved in this for a couple of years. And when he got involved in this, there was no dome. But now we've gotten to the point where not only is everybody using the same meme, okay, because that's all it is. It's a flat Earth meme. This little round Earth with the cute little ice ring around the outside. No yet to this point. There's all kinds of things that don't work about it. The distances between the continents, the distances between the oceans, the distances the sun has to travel to make its way around in this little circle, different. It has to be going faster in the south than it is when it's in the north. That's not how any clock or mechanism I've ever seen works. And the sun is a timekeeping piece as well as anything else. And so systematically, we've continued to ask questions over the past several months. At least now there is some dialogue out there about it. And there's a couple of new groups that got started that on Facebook that are, I think one of them is called Azimutho Equidistant Map Remake or something like that I was just joined to a couple days ago. So at least a few people are taking it seriously. But at the end of the day, what the problem is that, yes, flat Earth has hit the mainstream a couple of times and, made splashes. And so far, no one has ridiculed this map and this model specifically, but it's coming. And it's going to make people look pretty silly for having just automatically agreed to it without doing any of their own personal research at all, any verification at all. I mean, when I first heard about a 2-mile high ice ring around ice wall around the outside perimeter of this circle that everybody, has pictures of, I was like, wouldn't we see that? But but it's so far back there, you wouldn't really be able to see it, and it's ice, so kind of disappear into the sky, and all these excuses, all of these reverse engineered ad hoc theory excuses, the same damn thing we've been putting up with all of our lives with regards to the globe theory. So we're going to systematically keep approaching this from a standpoint of we're going to show that map and that model is not reality, and it has nothing to do with or without the Earth being flat. That's a given. That part we know. But the part we don't know is, what does it look like, and how do you traverse it, and why are we stuck with this map and this model and this dome when none of those three have been proven at all, not even close? So do you want to start to show, like, okay, I did a little thing. I have so many windows open now. I don't even know. I had such a good plan started before.
I've got loads of windows open. Everything crashed out when I tried to get the WhatsApp. But let's go back to the maps, because I'm going to try and do a screen share, Laurie, if I can get this on. There we go.
Well, I'm going to do one too, because this is the map that we're talking about.
All right, you're doing yours now?
Yes.
All right, we'll cancel that one.
If I can find my screen. Okay, this one. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to show this one. on my screen share, which I hope is working. Is that the flat Earth map showing?
It's just got lots of maps on this one.
All right. I'm a little frazzled. Once I get frazzled, it takes me a little while to calm out of it because I get ticked off.
You're going to have to click on one of them.
Yeah, I've already got one open, but I can't find the screen it is now. Go ahead. Okay. This is the one I want to show. Not that. Okay, so these are, do I have the whole map thing up there now? Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, let's see. Screen share. Okay, let me go back to this. All right. This is the azimuthal equidistant map. This is for people who we're going to start from scratch right here, and we're going to go back to the beginning. This is the map that represents, at this point, what the flat Earth means to almost everyone, except for me and Lawrence and a few people, okay? And this map is representing the azimuthal equidistant projection. It is not actually a map. And it has this white ring around the outside that's supposed to represent this ice wall, okay? And, oh, Lawrence. And this ice wall is supposed to be 2 miles high, and that's what's supposed to be holding in all the oceans. And everybody says, well, you know, all the globe people say, well, where's the edge? Well, this is supposed to be the edge somewhere here. I don't know whether it's represented by the actual ice circle or whether it's supposed to be represented by the outside line of this circle, or whether it's supposed to be the box that the circle's sitting in. According to Rob Skiba, this is all sitting inside of what's called Yahweh's terrarium. And there's a dome over the top of it. And so now let me go back to this page. If you look, there's all kinds of, no, I don't want that one. There's all kinds of representations of this flat Earth, round circle. And then some people decide that they're going to make models out of that circle. And they're got toroidal fields and suns and moons moving around. And here's the top has the all the Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus. They've got some kind of 0 point energy. My point is, it's still based on this round circle. And so as we go, we just keep elaborating on the round circle. But the problem is that the continents still don't work. The sun circling around there still doesn't work. So why is everybody continuing to hyperventilate on these same circular maps, right? Because all you have to do, and you can take it from here, Lawrence, you go to time and date and you look at how the sun moves across, across or around the earth, and what time the sun comes up and what time the sun goes down and how long the daylight hours are. All of that information is available. I don't want to hear anybody say that the reason why maybe time and date is a government agency and they're giving us wrong information. Any yo-yo can check it. Any yo-yo can go outside and say, yep, sure enough, there's the sun coming up at the appropriate time that it says on time of day, and here's how long the daylight is, and here's what time it sets. And
okay, so
I'm double. What happened?
We went back to the last show we did. We mentioned Mark Sargent saying that the USGS official map of the world was the AE map. So I'm screen sharing now. So if you go to the USGS,
you're screen sharing the screen, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Right.
So these maps on. So, okay. So you look at so this is the USGS official website, and these are their world maps. These are all their world maps, which I'm clicking on now. Yeah. So you can go down them. They've got this very ancient one, which certainly isn't an AE map. It's just something from 1500 or something. It's just one that they've got for some whatever intrinsic value. And then you've got this one, this one, this one, this one. Let's move down a bit more. And there's 4 pages of it. So go to page 2.
These are all official maps.
These are the world maps as per the USGS. These are the ones that they recognise. Yeah. All right. So you're going through them all. That's page 2, page 3. World Series. There we go. World Series 1144, 1150. And this is the last page, page 4. Just bring this down a bit. Got that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. So the AE map isn't even on their list of world maps. It's not there at all. But Mark Sargent quite adamantly says that it's their official world map. And he's still going on these weekly shows, where he goes on some radio show and says the same old story again and again and again, telling people that this is the official USGS map of the world. Thomas Aldorf, who's on the Facebook page that we go on, he's produced a little clip, which you might find interesting. It's only about 3 minutes long. And I've got that here, so I'll try and run that. Here we go. I'll make that full screen.
Is there sound on that, Lawrence?
The sound gone. I'll see if I can put the sound up just a minute.
Yeah, there's no sound.
No sound. All right.
None.
I'm on full sound here. Have you blocked? Can you not hear me at all?
No, I can hear you. I just can't hear the video at all.
It's not particularly loud.
You have to turn your own volume up and not talk.
Hear it now.
No sound. Okay, well, maybe just have to go back and open at the beginning and show the link so people can go and look at that, and or not the link, the actual page.
Is the screen on?
Flat Earth Clues.
Map Makers Revisited. Thomas Ollendorf. Okay, and then Thomas has done another video. This is only a minute long. You don't need any sound for this one.
Can you stop for a second, and up at the top of your page, can you put present to everyone, so when I talk, it doesn't take away your screen?
Present to everyone. Okay. Screen sharing. Is it not? It says screen sharing, so it's not going to everybody.
Yes, it is. But you don't. No, it's not. Okay, so go ahead, and I just want to talk. I'm going to mute my microphone. So
let's try and get that on again then. Hang on, not that one. Is that on the screen now? Have you got my screen?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes, and I have to mute my mic so it stays there. Okay.
All right, let's just play this clip because it's only like 60 seconds, less than that. And this is showing the path of the sun on the map that Mark Sargent had hidden in his map maker's clue. And Thomas Oldorf's put the sun on it going through the gates. So we'll play that. Okay. We're back, Laurie. Have you got sound? I've lost the sound.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Oh, we got the sound back. Yeah. Okay. So he's doing some more work on that. So hopefully he'll flesh that out more and put more information on.
The idea is that okay, you can stop screen sharing for a second. The idea is that he's showing what map that the sun is working right according to Enoch's gates.
Yeah. Sinusoidal map is used. I got a one screen map.
All right, so the idea is that now let's show the map that oh boy, way too many screens open. Let's show the map that we are using to look at for our purposes. And the idea is, this one is called the sinusoidal, what is that called? The sinusoidal.
Sinusoidal map. It's an equal area map, so that the sizes of the continents are in the correct proportion to each other and the correct distances away from each other. So the routes fit on that map. I haven't done all the routes, but all the ones I've done so far are quite accurate. It's the most accurate one out there. That's it. Yeah. So
explain this map and how you found it and why we're looking at it.
Well, I bought some graph paper. I bought 10 meters of graph paper because I was trying to do a Tiger Dan job and plot all the airline routes out on the, to try and make them fit. So I drew the lines of latitude and longitude on the graph paper, marked them all out, 0 to 180 either side and 0 to 90 north and south. Nothing would fit, didn't matter what you did. And obviously that's because the lines of latitude are not the same amount. So when you get north, one line of latitude, 1 degree of latitude is not worth as much as one at the equator. And the same with longitude, they're all skewed in towards the top. But on this map, everything's showing in the correct proportion to each other. So if you look at Greenland, Greenland is about 1/14 the size of Africa. You take the little Greenland bit at the top, and you'd get that in Africa many times over. So the routes are fine on here. They're not 100% perfect, but then it's the nearest we're going to get. Because I've looked at all sorts of different maps, and the one that's the worst possible map is the AE map, because the only routes that fit there are the ones that go through or close to the North Pole. So the Australia ones going up through North America and going up to Australia at the top, they fit on that, but only because it goes through. But the problem with that is the distance is like twice as far as what it really is. Whereas on this map, if you fly east from Australia, then you emerge in the west, and you can go from Australia over to Santiago, Chile, places like that. Or you can go west. You can go back to the west to go to Johannesburg, and these are pretty accurate. This is the land masses are shown in the correct proportion to each other. I've got no idea why this map isn't used anyway. People who use this map are the CIA and also NASA. NASA have got another version of it, and it's all segmented out into little blocks for some purpose. So obviously we can't get a copy of that map because that's property of NASA, but there is one, there's one on Google Images that you can take a look at if you want to. I've got one on here somewhere. I can show you later. I can dig it out. But the thing that struck me is the reason they've got away with the globe for so long is because you can fly or sail east and come back in the west, and you can do that on the globe. Or you can also do it on the flat Earth model that has portholes to the sides and maybe to the top of the Earth. And you pass through these seamless portholes and you re-emerge on the other side. So the east to west is not a problem for the authorities because they're working as though we're on a globe anyway. So, you know, you go east and you come out in the west. Well, that's what people would expect. That backs up the globe. But if you were going down to Antarctica on some kind of expedition and you're working your way across Antarctica and you got as far as you could, and then you came out in the north, and come out in northern Greenland, then that would give the game away that we're not on a globe. And that is the reason that I think that the polar areas are off limits for the general public, and they're only allowed for sightseers in restricted areas and military and government personnel. And that's why I think they're joined up as well, in the same way that the east and west are. And that would explain it. Are you still with me there, Laurie?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, so that's what we've got. More work needs to be done on this, just to do the routes and things like that. But as you can see, the distances between the Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer, they are narrower across as they are on the globe. Whereas Robotham would have you believe that as you go further south, the circle gets wider and wider and the distances get longer and longer, but they don't. They are as they are on the globe, but it's not a globe. It's a flat Earth map, but it's got all the same attributes, and it works. So the only concept that people really need to get their heads around that, God created this place and he was far more sophisticated than to put a cheese dome over the top of it to enclose us all in. We are technically enclosed in a different way, but it's not one where there's a physical barrier. It's seamless. And if you look at where this international date line is, which is right on the edge, just past New Zealand, and it comes up between North America and Russia. That's the place, where it's 50 miles across, but they never build a bridge across, which, for commerce and things like that, it would make huge sense to build a bridge across, but they don't. Presumably that's because you cannot build a physical structure over this international date line, which is a real thing. And the thing with that international date line is, it goes to the west for 180 degrees, and for every 15 degrees, you drop back an hour if you're going, from London, and then you're going to the west. And when you've done 180 degrees, you're 12 hours behind. And when you go to the east, you're 12 hours ahead. So when you pop over that date line, the date drops off by a full 24 hours to make it fit again. And that's how it is. So the international date line is a huge area for research for flat earthers, which they should be looking into, because there's not much out there on it, and I'm pretty sure there's some uncovered secrets about it out there.
So okay, oops, feedback. Really hate that. All right, so I'm going to stop presenting this map. While you were talking, I went to post the new link of this show that we're doing live right now in case people couldn't find us because of the other show that got all glitched and I couldn't figure out what happened. And I just got temporarily blocked out of Facebook for trying to share this show and had to go through identifying friends and new passwords and everything while you were just talking. I heard what you said. But my stress level now is just pretty much off the scale. So at this point right now, I'm not really concerned anymore about who's watching, who's listening, who's live, who's not, and so forth. So, something else I want to show that we haven't really shown yet and talked about very much. Now I'm going to screen share this. And that is the
NASA.
Jesus Lord, I got too many things open. Okay, this is the map that you found where?
That's the one with that's NASA's version of the sinusoidal map. So it's got all the continents, broken down into little sectors, so to speak.
Okay, and the reason why they do this is what?
I don't know.
Okay, well, this is what I'm figuring. Okay, it starts out with 1, 2, 3 at the bottom of the diamond, and it comes to a pretty sharp point there, and that would be representing Antarctica. And at the top, the last 3 numbers are 410, 411, and 412 at the top of the diamond at the little point. And when I went to this site where this map was located after you showed it to me, it says that NASA uses this for multiple things, but these are these little squares, these little num rows, they call them, are how they take pictures of the surface. And this is predominantly, it's under NASA, but it's predominantly NOAA, National or Oceanographic, I never could say that word very easy. Okay, so the idea is they take pictures of all of these little segments, and then they can overlay them and put them back together like in this puzzle, and that's supposed to be able to represent the Earth, the face of the Earth, and it is using the same sinusoidal map. And you know how they say that all those pictures they show us of Earth are composites? Well, this is how you make these fancy composites, is by separating all these little segments, and they can supposedly track weather patterns and so on and so forth. Now, if you look at this, you can also see how easy it would be for Google Earth in their little Google plane to fly over and take section photos, so that when they make their Google Earth map, they can plot number 262, which is in North Central Africa, or they can plot number 318, which is the southeast corner of the United States, and so on and so forth, okay? And if you'll notice, 410, 411, and 412, which is the top point of the map, has nothing in it except the top of Greenland, and that's supposed to be the Arctic Circle. And they don't even bother to put any ice there, okay? Now, another thing that you have to recognize about this is that the seam longitude is on that 180-degree meridian, which is what? That's that international time zone area, or international, what is it?
International dateline.
Dateline, okay. That's about the area where the dateline comes through.
Yeah, and if you look at Laurie,
you can also look at the number of rows is 18, and each one of those 18 rows represents 10 degrees of latitude per row. Okay?
Yeah.
So you could navigate easily by this, not easily, but I mean generally navigate or plot out navigation using this map, okay? Using this projection. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows that represent, I'm pretty sure, somebody can check me on this, that represents the Tropic of Cancer at the north to the Tropic of Capricorn at the south, and there's 2 rows spanning the equator. So that kind of rang a bell with me as far as the 6 gates of Enoch picked up on and made his map from. So just to, you know, give you an idea that things are not always as they seem. And when you, this was the map. Let me go back here for a second. Screen share, this one, share. Okay, this is the map that you plotted out all of the distances. The center of all of these red lines is what, London or UK?
Well, you've got
right?
You've got routes from London going there. The top of my head, you've got going to Nuuk in Greenland, and you've got one going clockwise. You've got one going to Anchorage, then you've got one going to, I think that's Los Angeles, one going to Orlando, one going down to Santiago, one going to Sao Paulo, Johannesburg, and Cape Town, Sydney. So they're really all from London, but we've got the routes there going from Sydney to Santiago, but that one goes off the page on one side and back on the other, and you've also got the route going the other way from Sydney to Johannesburg, and proportionally those routes are correct, and the ones going from London, so if you look at the one from London to Anchorage and the one from London to Orlando, those lines are virtually official information. They're identical lengths. And similarly for the ones going down to South America and to Africa, those lengths are spot on. You know, they fit. Same as the other one, that one there that goes up over the top of India and then goes down. It's not been joined up, but it goes down to Australia. That fits also. So you know, there's more work needed to be done on that. But I was hoping to get a larger map so I could actually print it out on a big table and get some measuring instruments to do it more accurately.
Well, the idea here.
Yeah, go on, Laurie.
I'm getting feedback from you. When you stop talking and then I start talking, it starts feeding back. Okay. The idea here is that you took the effort to look up the distances and the length of time that it takes to fly these routes from just one location to verify the distance to these individual different places and using this particular map. Now, I would question anyone as to whether most people, as to whether they've bothered to do something like this themselves and whether they've tried to do this on the AE map, the circular, laid out AE map with the continents all shingad in every direction, and they don't work. This right here, this exercise was what caused Tiger Dan to have a meltdown. And right now, you're looking at what the NASA and NOAA are using for weather, using for plotting, and these flights work. And there's no reason anybody has to make up excuses for why they don't work. Like, well, maybe the planes are going 900 miles an hour in the southern hemisphere, which we checked, and they don't. Qantas doesn't have any planes that fly 900 miles an hour in order to make some 17-hour flight able to be accomplished in 12 hours. And so you don't have to make up any excuses. Now, when we showed this map a few weeks ago, and I believe it was on the Watergate show, right after that was when everybody started making fun and screaming their heads off about what kind of crazy people we were, because this one red line on the bottom goes off one side and comes onto the other. And so they started laughing that, what do you got, some kind of magic portal there? And maybe we do. Maybe this is how it works, because it doesn't work on the little running around in circles. The sun doesn't work that way. The moon doesn't work that way. The airplane flights don't work that way. The distances don't work that way. So everything seems to be working for the most part on this map. Now,
yeah, and the flights from Australia to Santiago, the flights do fly east, because the same company does flights from New Zealand, and they fly east and they come out on the other side. So that is the only way they could do it anyway.
All right. Now, I had another thought here. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's go back to this. Okay. Can you get any kind of idea what this is?
It looks like sheep. I don't know. No, what is it, Laurie? Tell us.
It's if you go on Google Earth and you zoom in on the very tip-top north of Alaska, or of the so-called North Pole, okay, on their globe. Now you've zoomed out a little bit, right? And you have got the globe and you can spin it around in a circle, like it's supposed to spin on its little axis. And this is as close as you can get, other than just some water, which is what this blue represents. Can you see my cursor on there, or just me? Can you see my cursor moving around?
No.
Okay. The light blue color represents the water. And apparently we can see through it to see the terrain underneath the water, according to this map. And this is a screen capture. And then there's all these little black and white blobs. The black is the shadows and the white is the blobs. And it's just white pixels stuck on there. And then there's one little place over in the middle left side that is kind of a photograph, just square little group of stuck in there. All right. Now let me show you another one, and then you'll understand where I'm going. Okay. Am I presenting? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Present to everyone. All right. This is another picture that I took off of Google Earth, where I zoomed out and spun that globe around a little bit more to see some more fake ice, nothing stuff with little, well, we don't even know what this is, so we're just going to put this little cropped out rectangle place in there, here and there, and it doesn't matter because nobody can go there. So this is what it looks like. All right. And the whole idea is, though, that the farther you go north, there's nothing. There's nothing but this blue water and these fake pictures flopped, cut and paste on the map. Why? I mean, apparently we can get all kinds of photos of Antarctica, but we can't get anything better than this for the whole inside of the polar Arctic Circle. So the idea is that when you go back to this map, you can see that there's nothing there.
There's no ice.
They don't even try. So why don't they even try? Because the whole idea is that I believe I'm coming to a strong conclusion. And if we're going to get made fun of, well, then you know what? Let's just go for broke. Okay? There's nothing there. You can't go there. If you even look at those lines at the end, at the top of the map there, it goes off into infinity. Okay? And I have to say that I've come to the conclusion in my mind that that's a portal. There's a portal at the north and there's a portal at the south. And this diamond here, now I'm going to go way out on the weak lens. And I'm going to show you what it's a possibility that it is. Okay, I can get back to my picture. And we showed this a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to show it again. This is two pyramids on top of one another, as above, so below. And if you look at the center square that is made by the two pyramids butted up against one another by their fat ends, you'll see a square. And inside that square, on that plane, is Earth, where we live. Okay? And the outside perimeter of this, what is this, octahedron, is more than likely what everybody is calling the firmament. Okay?
And the center of that square is probably the pyramids in Egypt, isn't it? Right in the center.
What is with the over freak out on pyramids for as long as mankind's been around? I mean, pyramids everywhere. They're all over the place. And in my opinion, I'm going to mute your mic for a second because you're feeding me. As far as I'm concerned, when I think of all of not only the actual pyramids that are built across the earth and on all the different continents, you have the same pyramid type structures in the African continent, the Asian continent, the South American continent, the North American continent. And people have questioned for years, well, there must have been some alien technology that allowed for that because, you know, aliens were here and they were the ones that spread this all over the place. But if you go back far enough to the other history that we've heard about to compare it, all of these continents were stuck together at one point, and separated after they were created. Okay, so at some point, all these lands were together enough to where people could have traversed them, moved back and forth from migrated, whatever. So the pyramid being in all these different places is not a stretch at all. And there's a reason why it's so represented, over-represented, both in ancient history and ancient building structures, all the way to the point of being the symbol for the Illuminati today. Okay. Now there's another thing that I want to show. I'm going to stop this. Okay, now where am I going? I'm going right here. Okay, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here we go. Okay, bear with me just 1 second. I still got too many screens open. Jiminy Christmas. Okay, finally. I had to close a bunch of windows, sorry. Okay, now I'm going to present to everyone. This is the meeting facility for the Antarctic Treaty Commission bunch of people. You see all the flags of all the countries in the background there, those that are treaty members. And interestingly enough, look at the shape of that darn table. It's shaped in the shape of a pyramid with the top cut off. And inside of it is a pyramid with the top and the corners cut off. Now, if you replicate that table on the bottom, you have the sinusoidal map. And if you add the same pyramid and where all the little bushes and stuff are in the middle there, and you add this, replicate the thing as above, so below on that, looky there, you got the sinusoidal map. So there's way too many coincidences that are mounting here for me in particular to ignore. And so I'm not going to anymore. I'm just not going to ignore it anymore.
What's that meeting? What meeting is that there, Laurie, then?
That's the Antarctica Commission, the Treaty Association. That's their meeting room. That's the table they sit around when they talk about their Antarctica.
Yeah, I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, well, that was one of the first things I found when I got involved in this. And so now let's look at this again. And gosh darn it, look how that looks. You cut the top and the bottom off and you square the sides a little bit. And it's the same shape, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's probably the nearest we're going to get to the correct map.
Now, if this works and that works and this looks like it goes with it and this doesn't, look at that, you know, little coincidence there, and you start adding all these things up, what's the one thing that sets this apart from the little running around in circles map? Is the fact that you're going to have to wrap your mind around some portals. Now, how hard is that? I mean, we've been getting portaled by NASA. We've been getting portaled by Star Wars and Stargates and movies and all of it for our whole lives. I don't have any problem with portals. I mean, I have less problem with portals than I do with a globe. And everything that looks right about a globe that they've been able, this is why they've been able to create all these ad hoc reverse engineered theories to work. is because these globe theories mimic the same set of circumstances that this model represents. They work on both. But they don't work on that little run around circle map. They don't work on that little run around circle, sun and moon chasing each other, you know? I mean, I had a guy come in the group today and say, well, how come the sun was up in New Orleans for 10 hours? No, the moon, sorry. The moon came up at 10 in the morning and it didn't set till, 6 at night or whatever, and said, how do you explain that on a flat earth? Well, heck, dude, that's real easy to explain on a flat earth. This moon was able to be seen in New Orleans for 10 straight hours. But now add to that, that way over on the other side of the plane, that the same thing was occurring, 10 hours of moon in the sky during the day. Okay, now let's wrap our mind around the moon is staying still for 10 hours or just moving across slowly. The whole Earth practically saw it. Okay, now that can't happen on a globe, but it sure can happen on a flat Earth, and it sure can't happen as easily on that running around in the circle thing versus going across the map. I mean, I'm putting a hypothesis together here. Says
that's what they do. Straight after the show, Laurie, what will happen after this show is that you'll have the same old people trying to put a square hole in a round peg and try and make things fit on this round circular mirror, but they don't. And that's all they've been doing. That Drew Treble 7, after one of our shows, he tried to make the airline routes work, but all he did is he instead of making Africa 5,000 miles from top to bottom, he was saying it was 2,500 miles. It was such a joke. That's what they're doing. They're just trying to fudge everything to try and make this false model fit, because that's what they're paid to do. Well, that's what they've been programmed to do. And it's not just the odd one, it's all of them. They're all singing from the same hymn sheet. And they've been doing it for the past couple of years.
Lawrence, they go, but Robotham. But Robotham. Well, you know what? Hey, Robotham was a Mason. Now, how come that everybody in the community is like, ooh, Masons, he's a Mason, you're a Mason, Masons everywhere. Oh, except for Robotham. He doesn't count, okay, because he was a flat earther.
Yeah.
Now, okay, Admiral Byrd, okay, I did research this past week on Admiral Byrd and the Masons, and I discovered that Admiral Byrd, when he first went to Antarctica on his little first research trip, what did he do? The guy's got time to go and make a Masonic lodge in Antarctica. Really? I mean, we're going all the way to Antarctica and we're gonna explore it, but oh wait, we can't do that until we make a Masonic lodge there. So Byrd's a Mason, all right, and there's like every single country in the world has Masons, has a Masonic lodge, but Robotham, he's okay because he was a flat earther. So you can't have it. You can't have it every way. And on top of that, let me just say this for all you yo-yos out there who think that you're going to make fun of what we're talking about here. Okay, number one, a critical thinker does what? Questions everything. Right? When I got into the flat earth, I was given, I have to mute your mic for a second, Lawrence, I'm so sorry. When I got into the flat earth at the very beginning, I was handed on a silver platter this make and model of the flat Earth. Here it is. Okay, it's this circle and the ice and the story and the comparison with the, you know, the UN map, and everything was just all laid out. And then, but Robotham add that in there. Okay, and then so I'm like, oh well, okay, this has all been researched and this has all been proven. So it, you know, I'm gonna go with this for the baseline, and then I'm gonna go from there. And then what happened? Time went by, and then they plopped a dome on top of the circle. Now, oh well, that was convenient. Okay, and then a little more time went by, and then people like you come along who have been doing this a lot longer and said, wait, this doesn't quite work right. Now I'm confused. Okay. And people like me, people like most flat earthers are like, oh God, come on, don't rock the boat, Lawrence. You know, we're having a hard enough time here. We need to just focus on the things we know. We need to, you know, just stay with our model and stay with our map and stay with our little running around in circles, sun and moon and stuff. And then, you know, you made a couple more comments. And you went off on the Mercator, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. This is not, I don't think. And then when you came out with the time and date, and you said, the sun can't operate the way the time and date works. Okay, then you had me at hello. You had me at time and date. And even I was pushing back, thinking, well, maybe they're manipulating time and date. And then I went, wait a minute. They can't manipulate time and date because people can look out the door and check and see that it really is, the sun's coming up then, or it's really daylight now. And so then you have to go back and you have to start at the beginning and you have to question everything. All right. And so it's okay that we can have black holes, and it's okay that we can have quarks and millitron, neutrino, God particle. It's okay. We can have all that stuff that we can't see, but we can't have portals. Okay, right?
Yeah, and you mentioned the Masonic connection with Robotham and Admiral Byrd, and the same thing's happening with a lot of these flat earthers, because they're obliged to actually put the clues out to say that they are Masonic. And I've got a couple here to show you. I found one of them myself. I'll do a screen share again, see if I can get this up. Let's have a look, see if we can get that and that. Here we go. Have we got this Pac-Man up again? Is that one? Has the Pac-Man come up, Laurie?
Yeah, I see the Pac-Man.
Oh, all right. Well, I actually looked at the one that this was on Mark Sargent's introduction, and I decided to count the number of pieces on the board, and lo and behold, there are 69. You know, and obviously you can invert the 9, which makes the 66. So that's that one. So I found that one. I didn't find this one. Somebody else found this one. And this is Rob Skiba. And Rob Skiba is into the Nephilim. And on this is on his on one of his videos. And there's a picture of him there. And in the background, you've got all these hands. And if you look at the hands, they've all got 6 fingers. And I did a count across, and lo and behold, you've got 11 hands, each with 6 fingers. 11 times 6 is your 66. So he's putting out the clue saying, hey, yeah, you know, I'm a Mason. Here's my proof of it. And I'm sure there's more out there. You know, other people should start looking for all these Masonic clues so you can see, you know, who's who. But they're all putting stuff out there, hiding it in plain sight. You've just got to look for it. And where's my screen?
The whole idea of the Masonic connection, okay? Dubé talked about the Masonic connection. all the way from the very beginning. Stop screen sharing, if you will, please. That's making, I think, the echo. The Masonic connection is what everybody keeps talking about, all right? And yet they don't stop and think about people that are inside the movement, inside the flat earth community. You can you stop screen sharing?
What do I press to stop it? I'm on it.
Stop sharing, or at the bottom, stop sharing.
I'm trying to find it, Laurie. Can you override it?
It's not me doing it. Okay, so the idea is that when you look at this, you know, here's another example, going back to this table at the Antarctica Treaty Commission, or whatever it's called. I beg your pardon that I can't remember what it is, but it has their whole signage in the back there and all that. So the idea is that you're still screen sharing. Hit your screen share button again, please. So you see pyramids all the time, and they keep using these pyramids, and then they keep using these numbers with the 33, and they keep using. Let me show you another. Hold on, I got another picture I think you'll enjoy that goes along with it. Oh, here we are. Okay.
You still down, Laurie?
Yeah, you're still sharing your screen. Okay, so here's your classic pyramid shape. Okay, and this is where the concept of Illuminati is showing up. Okay, so here's the pyramid with the capstone lifted, and there's a light shining from inside, and that's, you know, the enlightened people inside there. And the whole idea is, you know, when you take this pyramid shape and you look through the bottom, the you know, if you tilted it up and you look through the bottom and looked out the top, then you can see that that's also how perspective works. The point of the vanishing point is the top of the pyramid, looking through the bottom, through an empty bottom, so to speak. And so these pyramids being reused throughout, you know, forever. I mean, you can't ignore the repetition of these images. And so these, you know, I'm going to go back to what I just said a few minutes ago. All the people who seem to be, all right, I'm going to have to stop for a second so I can help you with the unscreen sharing. Okay, on your screen at the top, it says stop sharing in the green band up there.
It just says you are screen sharing, and there's no button to unscreen. There's no button to unshare.
Okay, go back to the screen share button on the left side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Click it. Yeah.
All right. There you go. Nah, you're good. All right. So, you know, what I was saying earlier, or we both have been saying earlier, we keep seeing these repetitions of, you know, Matt Powerland with his 33 T-shirt, and Mark Sargent with his hands held that way, and, you know, all of these guys, Skibo with the, you know, Illuminati fist and 11 and all that. If he can actually say, oh, I didn't have anything to do with that. Well, okay, then whoever you hired to make that graphic for you just punked you with putting 11 of them in there, so that somebody like whoever shared that with Lawrence would find it and show you, show everybody that, you got connections. So at the end of the day, we're not the only ones who are finding this. We're not the only ones that are seeing this. We're just the ones that are talking about it. And if people are unwilling to look at this information and unwilling to understand that the people that are supporting these circular, dome-covered, Truman Show enclosed world models, I mean, even, Skiba with his Yahweh's terrarium, and he uses the word snow globe, they just keep repeating this stuff to the point where no one is going to question it anymore. Or people are kind of inherently lazy. And if this is part of the problem with the spoon feeding of information throughout the flat earth community. People come in the groups and they ask questions and they say, well, how does this work? Or how does that work? Okay. And I see it in my group all the time, every day. And somebody will jump in there and they'll have their religious standpoint to answer the question. And another person will jump in there and they'll say, well, let me share this video with you of this model and this is how it works. Or my favorite, whatever. Okay. That's all fine because that takes sort of the cult thing out of it, or the, repeating everything in a vacuum concept. But I'm sitting there grinding my teeth when, people are plopping a dome over everything. And I'm sorry, but there's just no proof of a dome anywhere. And until there is some, don't add it in there, because what happens is once it gets added, it's almost impossible to extract it. So when as these shows have progressed and these chats have progressed and we've all been doing research, one person will pick up another thing from another person and add to it, and brainstorm happens. And this is how, Lawrence and I and others have come across these ideas. And then, but what happens is because they've made this one model work without any, supernatural aspects to it, all right? People have nodded their head and agreed with it, and that must be how it works, as if God just made little circling clockworks and lava pumps and put us underneath of a terrarium.
Yeah, and that's why we've had the flat earth frisbees with the false map on. We've had the flat earth clock with the false map on. We've had the flat earth key rings with the frigging false flat earth man, and all these things. People are buying these things and accepting it at face value. Well, it's on a clock, and obviously that's why somebody found the flat earth clock in Back to the Future. Now, this is all part of the predictive programming, so that people are going to buy into this false model when it's presented by all these agents. And as far as I'm concerned, unless these people come out and start speaking out again about this false model, then you can assume they're agents. All those people, which is virtually everybody, everybody of any note. Certainly, all the people who go on Patricia Steers' show, the Ball Earth Skeptic show. And all those getting six-figure views, with one or two exceptions, on YouTube. These people are all pushing the false model, and there's more coming out, man. They're all doing the same, And they put some very interesting stuff out there, like that flat water guy. He does tell some very interesting tales about, these old sailors who are sailing into these explored lands, and they're meeting all these strange people and stuff like that. But then he still goes out and puts out the false model with it as well. Because he's great. He tells great stories. And then, of course, when he shows them the false model, they're going to buy into that as well. So, you know, they mix a, you know, fair amount of truth with a lot of lies. And that's
well,
what.
and here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. And you made a post about it in my group today, for example. What's going to happen when the mainstream media comes out and truly starts talking about what the flat earth community is talking about and what their map and their model look like. And before you know it, this is what we're going to see. We're going to see this little, you know, little ancient upgrade of the little circular map with the dome over the top of it, and it's gonna be wrong. And then what's gonna happen? They're just gonna crucify us. That's what's gonna happen. They're just gonna make us look stupid because they already know what it really is. And unless it is, of course, that they want the dome model to be accepted by humanity, okay? And that could easily be Plan B, and it isn't real, any more real than the globe, which is what we've been saying for weeks and months. And so we know what we know. We go back to the beginning of what we first found out when we first found out the Earth is flat, okay? One of the main 2, 3, 4 of the main things still are on the table, and they're, you know, unequivocal. The lack of curvature, the fact that the horizon stays at eye level no matter how high you go. It doesn't drop down. It doesn't go below, you know, eye level. You don't have to look down to see it. And all the other proofs. You know, there's plenty of proofs, but when you stumble upon the ones that don't work, like the continents they're not like laid out like that. And there are plane flights that go from here to there and people actually fly on them. You know, it's like the lady that said that Greenland didn't exist that one week. And we were just like, huh? You can't just, because you want to make something work, you can't just disintegrate an entire continent or island and say it doesn't exist anymore. And so, you know, is it the shape that we say it is? Well, I don't know. Nobody knows. But, you know, we've been looking at this for months now. And if the other guys, the other camp, whatever you want to call them, starts making fun of us again, like they did 2 weeks ago, which lasted a whole like Hollywood 5 minutes. Okay. And that was that. They let that drop. Why? They're not continuing to make fun of us, are they? No. Why? Because we make them look stupid the more they make fun of us. And so keep on doing it. But at some point, you guys are going to have to start chewing up the inside of your mouth or stop talking, because, you know, you're not willing to admit that all of the videos with all of the thousands of hits on them need to come down, need to be remade, and stop. You can't just keep fudge like Drew 777. You can't just keep smushing your continents a little bit more here and there so that they work, because hello, we actually have maps and odometers and stuff that you drive across the continent. This is how long it takes. This is how many miles it is. I mean, that shit works. I'm sorry. You can't just smush the continent and get away with it.
Yeah, that's it. And But as I say, we've got 99% of all the people who are presenting stuff on YouTube are pushing this stuff, and maybe some of them are doing it, you know, out of ignorance. But I've read their names out. You know who you are. You're pushing this stuff. Now you're either liars or you're ignorant. Now which way is it? Are you liars or you're ignorant? We've called you out. We've read your names out. Are you going to carry on telling lies? Because people are going to wake up to this eventually. You can only cover stuff up for so long, and maybe they didn't think we would find this. You know. Yeah. So everybody out there, as far as I'm concerned, you know, they're either liars or they're ignorant.
And here's the thing, you know, I know people who have these apps on their phone that they put information in there, like, you know, we've talked about this before, whale migrations, the Ring of Fire, storms, weather patterns, the temperature of the ocean in different parts of the earth, and they put these in these apps on their phones, and it converts it to an azimuthal equidistant map projection, and voila! Look how much better this works on the flat Earth circle map than it does on a globe. No, it doesn't. It works the same on a globe, you know, on a sinusoidal spread out map as it does on a globe, as it does on the AE. So just because it works doesn't mean that that's how it is, okay? Because all of the phenomena that we've been hearing about our entire lives works on the globe, right? I mean, we've been buying it hook, line, and sinker our whole lives until one day, you know, somebody says the Earth's flat, and you go, huh? And then they say, well, go look at such and such, and you go look, and you go, well, I'll be damned, okay? And that's what starts the flow. And then you go start looking, and you look at all the usual suspect stuff, and of course, everybody wants to be with the winner. So whoever the winner is of the person who's got the most views or the most likes on their videos, they must be right because everybody likes their stuff, you know? And here's what's interesting about that. Just because everybody agrees to something does not mean it's the truth. That's the reality. So just because somebody's got 10,000 or 120,000 views on something, and they have, you know, a smooth talker, and they got a nice presentation, and their little graphic-y things and media work all nice, doesn't mean it's reality any more than the globe was. So until we start working together to come up with the real model and the real map, and stop being complacent and accepting what was spoon-fed to us as part of the original opening salvo of this psyop called the Flat Earth Movement, you know, that's what's interesting. That's what people can't get. Yeah, this was created, but it's real. But the part of it that's not real is the part that you're wrapping your mind around. And so it's a double back con is what it is, right?
We've been shafted, Laurie, from the start, and that's the problem. We're outnumbered and outflanked. You know, they have probably 100 times more than what we are, and they're still churning all this stuff out, and they're bringing more people in all the time, and they're all reinforcing the false model, and that's where the problem is.
Right now, these people that are coming in are reinforcing the people who we're calling out. That's what's happening now. You got these people who are, you know, oh, I'm a new flat earther. There's one guy who, you know, I don't know if he's real or not. I have no idea if he's a real person. I mean, I know he's a real person, but I don't know if he's been set up to come into it. You know, I watched this guy come out of nowhere. Flat Earth Asshole's his name. Okay, go check out his channel. He does these rants. He goes, takes his dog for a walk, and he does these rants. But the people that he's pushing their work are the people that we're saying are pushing lies, disinformation. You know, how can Mark Sargent still have that map maker clue up on his channel and shared all over the place, multiple hundreds of, maybe thousands of times, that says that the USGS is the AE map is the official, you know, map of the USGS. And yet we've called them out. We've proven that that's not true. And yet, you know, haters are going to hate. You know, they just don't like my.
Don't hate. We've all got to agree.
Yeah, why can't we all just get along and, you know, and sing Kumbaya and be good and happy little flat earthers? Quit rocking the boat. And so, sorry, I wasn't put here in, you know, I'm not spending all this time, I mean, thousands of hours so far, a year, daily, every day. I mean, every once in a while I take a break for a day and I just go, God, I mean, I just can't even do it today.
Yeah, even Jeranism has got flat earth clues on his Jeranism site. Well, Jeranism, if you're watching, you've seen now for a fact that the USGS do not have the AE map as their official world map. They don't even have it as a world map at all. So if you continue to show flat earth clues on your Jeranism site, then you're aiding and abetting this false truth to be perpetuated against the world. And anybody else, you know, what's his name? David Weiss, he's always pushing flat earth clues. Flat earth clues are lies.
Well, I mean, I listened to David Weiss in a few minutes in a debate video that somebody sent me the link to. I guess it was him and Mark Sargent and somebody else, I don't know. And they were debating, and the guy asked about the equatorial sundials. How come the shadows fall straight down on the, and David Weiss did the best side twisting, jump into another subject. You could just hear the wheels in his head going, well, I think the real question here is, and just went over there somewhere and start talking about, and, you know, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And the guy goes, but the sundials.
Tell me about the sun. David Weiss.
No. I don't hear you. Talk about something else.
David Weiss, come on, man. You was asked the question. I'll ask David Weiss once again. David Weiss, please explain why we need equatorial sundials. Please explain why, when the sun is traveling directly overhead, you do not get shadows moving around a sundial. They move in a straight line. They're long in the morning, and they shorten up till noon when there's no shadow at all, and then they extend in the afternoon, and they do not move around. So, David Weiss, please explain why that is, and please explain how that could happen on the map that you're pushing, because it wouldn't. On the AE map, a circling sun would cause the shadows to move directly around the circle anywhere on the map if that was real, but it's not. And you couldn't answer the question because you're a fucking liar.
Well, I mean, you're entitled to call him whatever you want, and yeah, you know, I might be a little harsh, but at the same time, it's not really lying if you don't answer the question. If you don't give him a wrong answer.
You go on Mark Sargent's show, ring in, ask about the sundials. Ask Mark Sargent. Ask Mark Sargent about the equatorial sundials, everybody.
Mark Sargent didn't answer the question either.
Yeah, ask Patricia Steer about the sundials. Patricia, come on your show. Let's talk about the sundials or the hot potatoes. The sundials are hot potatoes. Stop bringing out the cold potatoes. We're sick of the cold potatoes. We don't want to hear about people's pets, or whether we like your hairstyle or your gold dress or Mark's tuxedo. Let's talk about some real flat earth.
Okay, bring it down. Okay, so this is why we go off on these making fun of rants, okay? Because if you can't answer the question, then don't make something up, okay? And it's okay if you don't know and you want to talk about something else, but please give people the courtesy to say, I don't know, let's talk about this. And so if you're going to avoid the hard questions, there are hard questions. I mean, Lawrence and I have been dealing with hard questions for months now. And the hard questions came because we suddenly found ourselves not having a map and not having a model, and looking for one. And then we started looking at what other people were looking at, like Free Energy. We've talked about his channel several times, and he has a rectangular square model that he uses to explain how things work. And it works the same way. But you still have to be able to stretch your mind a little bit and say, why won't they let us go to Antarctica? Why do they have a no-fly zone over the Arctic? And people will say, oh my God, here you go with the Antarctica, you can't go there again. Listen, if you can't freely go to Antarctica and start heading south from the shoreline and just keep going and going and going and going and going, okay? And you'll notice they have Antarctica cut up into a pie shape, okay? It's like a little circle on the bottom of the earth, and then it's all cut up into a little pie shape, which is like how each of these countries have their space on a piece of pie. And we know it's not a globe, so where does Antarctica go? And that was a whole nother part of the PSYOP. We have to incessantly talk about there's more ponds, there's more, earths, there's more land, there's more whatever. I got caught up in it myself. My apologies to anyone, because I wanted to also believe maybe there's more. Well, there is more, but not the kind of more that I was thinking of, okay? And I don't know if a human being can even go to this infinity point and then keep going. And whether it's some kind of a strip or a ribbon or a Mobius strip or whatever. I've heard all kinds of theories already. Maybe it's a portal. Maybe you go out the south and you end up in the north. Boop, there you go. And then people say, well, that couldn't be, because then polar bears would be eating penguins. And they don't. Okay, well then maybe humans can't go through there. Maybe that's what CERN's about. Maybe CERN's trying to blow a hole in it or something, or make it to where us in our density of our meat suits can manage to get through the portal. Okay, I don't know. Maybe it's a veil. Maybe it's a wall of gelatinous microbes. I have no idea what the end of the earth is, but people got so hung up on the earth is a circle, it's God's footstool, and there's the firmament laid out over the top, and then they totally, it's like, well, we don't want to talk. It's like not answering the question about the equatorial sundials. Let's not answer the question about, well, what about the four corners of the earth? What about the, the four winds? What about the north, south, east, and west, and Enoch's gates, and all these other things? Jesus Christ, when he lived, apparently was reading the book of Enoch. I mean, it was around then. Okay, that was like the Bible then. So I don't know what the answer is, but I know that I'm mad about the fact that we're being played as gullible fools if we keep continuing to accept this map and model that has so many flaws in it as to be unusable. And yet everybody just like, oh, dee-da, whatever, it's okay, it's all right, because it's a flat, the flat earth.
That's the problem people are going to have now, Laurie, is because where do people go for information? All the information out there is false in terms of the nature of this flat Earth that we live on. All the big names are putting out false information, and I mean all of them. You've got free and energy. Now I'll spell that out for people. Go and watch this guy. He's got about 20 videos out there. It's free energy. That's FREEANERGY. You just type in flat Earth, free energy. You get his videos. And the only other person I could really give a shout out to is Star Gods. And Star Gods, I love Star Gods because he doesn't go into the science, but Star Gods can see through the charade that's being played before our eyes. But most of the flat Earth people that are out there, they are flat Earth sheeple, because you cannot see the truth when it's right before your eyes that you're being lied to systematically by virtually everybody. And it's time for you to wake up, folks, and smell the coffee and find out where you really live. We need more researchers out there taking this information. Nobody has debunked the sinusoidal map. Nobody has come back and said, oh, I can't make the flights work on there. And they won't be able to, because the flights do work on it. And that's why nobody's come back. So we need more people out there. So, you know, if anybody's watching this, you know, and you're a bit of a researcher, go and do some digging. Go and dig into the shape of the Earth beneath and below as well, like that, because that may be more complicated. But in terms of the flat surface that they're on, it ain't a bloody big circle with a wall of ice around it. That's a big lie, and that's the one everybody's telling you. You need to let go of that, even though you may have bought into it in the same way you bought into the globe. It's a big lie.
Well, you know what's really interesting too. Let me share another map. A lot of people have never seen this map. This is the Cossin map, Cossin, and this map comes from the year 1570, and this is the same shape, the sinusoidal shape, the diamond, the triangle, the diamond, or the, you know, stretched out square. And if you look at it, you'll see, let me make sure that I explain this again so that you can go find this map for yourself. You have to Google Cossin, Cossin, sinusoidal map, or just Cossin map, and this should come up in Google, your Google search. But look at the difference in this one, where you have Antarctica stretched out on the bottom. I mean, practically the whole bottom of the map is Antarctica, and it has like little mountains on it, and it looks like terrain. It doesn't look like ice. And so this guy in 1570 imagined something based on somebody traveling along the coast of Antarctica to presume that it was this large, and not that it was a ball, because in 1570 the ball thing hadn't really kicked in yet. And so this is a flat map, and if you look at the two ends on the far east and west, you'll see this sine wave, S-I-N-E wave, that goes across, and if I'm not mistaken, it's probably a little off as far as the high part of it is at the Tropic of Cancer and the low part of it is at the Tropic of Capricorn, with the equator in the center. And the sun is, that line, I think, is supposed to be representing the tracks of the sun. And then if you also look, the same thing occurs. The 180-degree line on the right or left side is the same place now. They didn't have it then, but now that we have the international date line.
Wow, so, what a coincidence that is. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's all kinds of little markings on there. I haven't gotten to the point yet where I want to take this to Kinko's and I want to have it blown up on a big wide sheet of paper. They have a printer there that'll make about a, I don't know, 2 foot or 3 foot wide banner that this can be printed on, so that I can really look it over better and see what all of these ribbons and things around the outside are saying. But, you know, this is the kind of thing that I look at to say, well, you know, this is an independent person, whether he was being funded by the king or queen or whoever, but this is an independent person who was, his family was map makers. And so he made this map, you know, without the Illuminati fingerprints all over it. And so, you know, as you keep finding these clues, these really are flat Earth clues. Okay, these are the real kind of flat Earth clues that you find, and not the ones that somebody like Mark Sargent tells you what they are.
Yeah, that is probably the best really old map that there is. And if you look at the line that goes from north to south down the middle, it goes just off the coast of Ireland, which would be like the line straight down the middle, north south.
Right.
So that would be 0 degrees. So it's slightly out because the 0 degrees goes through Greenwich in London, but you know, considering it was, you know, 400 or 500 years old, that's a pretty accurate map in terms of where, you know, the 0 degrees is, which they obviously based for the, you know, Greenwich Mean Time, places like that.
Well, and the top of the world is Greenland, and it goes off into, you know, that infinity point where nobody ever went that far, you know. But they don't try to make it look, he doesn't try to make it look like there's just an empty top up there.
Yeah.
Because the top of Greenland reaches inside the Arctic Circle. And there is nothing there, according to what I've been finding, there's nothing there, you know, beyond military bases or whatever. And I think that it's a very contentious area between the United States and Russia, for example. And so there's some reason why they keep it off limits. It's a no-fly zone. They keep it off limits, as well as the far interior of Antarctica. So it's just, it's something that we need to keep looking at, and we need to stop just settling for something that looks like it, you know, works. And the more that people make fancy, what do you call it? The
graphics,
media graphics, and the 3D turning, moving, you know, all that stuff. Everybody's like, ooh, look how good that is. Ooh, look how awesome that is. And yet they say you really have to be cerebral to be able to understand that.
And that's the very same reason that they've had to, you know, argue the case about the 24 hours of daylight in Antarctica, which you couldn't have with the AE map and a circling sun. So now they're looking for, you know, other theories, like, you know, the sunlight is bouncing off the dome and spinning all around the world. This is like, you know, trying to re-engineer or back-engineer what they've got to try and make it fit, which is what NASA do with all the stars and stuff like that. They just, you know, fudge it to make it fit. They make the science fit rather than taking what the real science is.
Well, and here's the other thing, okay? You know, if we're considered contentious and problem drama people because we're calling people out for continuing to put out disinformation and misinformation, then so be it. Because I'm not going to sit around and sing Kumbaya and act like, you know, can't we all just get along? Why, and ignore the fact that people are lying, and that people are, you know, purposefully putting out disinformation. And what I say purposefully now is, this isn't the first time we've called them out. We've been calling them out for months.
We were calling them out for 13
since we started this show, we've been calling out Mark Sargent to stop with you know, there's something in every clue. It's a classic disinformation agent, counterintelligence agent, and he can laugh all he wants and go, ha ha ha, I'm an agent. Oh, look at me. Next week I'm going to put my agent, 99 or 86 shirt on or whatever. Laugh all you want. It matters not. You're not who I care about. What I care about is the people out there that are sucking it up without doing their own research, and that's the key. Verify what people are telling you. If you don't know how to do that, okay, then you need to learn how to learn again. You need to relearn how to educate yourself. I mean, I never stepped foot into college a day in my life. Now that's probably going to go all over the comments, well, no wonder you're such a retard because you don't have a college education. But the point is I'm a pretty educated person. I'm a pretty naturally intelligent person. I can figure shit out for myself. I don't need anybody to tell me how stuff works. And the more you use mumbo jumbo science lingo, the bigger the technocrat you look like. And I don't like technocrats. I don't like technocrats for one reason only. And that is because everybody trusts authority figures because they seem like they're an authority. And they could lead you right into the guillotine, and you wouldn't, until right before they put your head on the block, you wouldn't even know where you're going because it's all smooth. Well, let's be smooth here, and let's take you over here and show you this. Look at this new flat Earth. Isn't this fascinating? Look how this works. And then everybody, yeah. Oh, damn the government, damn the bad guys. And they don't even realize that they got a Pied Piper right here, leading them over into another sheep den for the wolves to get, okay? And so while they're keeping everybody occupied with this flat Earth, now this is another part that's very important that people understand. And again, I'm going to get criticized for, who made you the spokesperson and who made you the voice of flat Earth and who made you the flat Earth police? Nobody. I'm being my own flat Earth police. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Me and Lawrence and other people who are seeing through the lies are being the flat Earth police. Okay, and we're saying, pay attention, folks, because what you think you know, if you haven't verified for yourself, how do you know that it's true? How do you know where it came from? And again, because Robotham. Okay, Eric Dubay comes out with a book that verbatim, practically, just repeats Robotham, and everybody's like, yeah, Robotham. Oh, dude, he was a flat earther. He was a cool guy. Well, you know what? If everybody back in the day was so against flat earthers, people die today. Scalia, we don't know what happened to him yet, right? Because there's no autopsy. It just happened. I mean, I've already read 5 different conspiracy theories about what happened to Scalia. All right. Now, until there's an official investigation that everybody understands and agrees with, conspiracy theories will grow and grow and grow. And that's on purpose. All right. So here you got Robotham, and he's all of a sudden, he's the god of flat Earth. He's been dead for how long? We never met the guy, don't know anything about him, don't know what he ate for breakfast, don't know if he screwed little boys. We have no idea. I'm sure right now somebody's going, oh my God, you just defamed the character of Robotham. You should be sued for blasphemy or something. The point is that you don't know. So if you don't know and you've never researched it for yourself, not even all the information in the world is on Google. Come on. I mean, there's lots of stuff that's never seen the light of day of Google yet on purpose, right?
Yeah, and the big, there's a lot of people out there who spend an awful lot of time looking at flat Earth. And my message to you is, stop watching YouTube because you're just going to get spoon-fed crap. You know, the only person I would recommend watching is Free Energy and Star Gods at the moment. Watch this show, and we will update you with anybody who's got any honest videos out there that are worth watching. There may well be some YouTubes out there which are telling the human story about how they got into flat Earth and, you know, how it's changed their life. But all these people putting stuff out about science, you want to just steer a wide berth, because they're not telling you the truth. They're out there to make sure that you suck in the wrong story and buy into this false story, because if flat Earth does become mainstream, this is the model you're going to get. You're going to have a dome covering the entire Earth, and you can't get out, and it was probably aliens that did it, and you're stuck here. You know, that's what you're going to get. So you're wasting your time watching YouTube, because everything out there, with a few exceptions, total crap.
Well, and the aliens that did it part, once again, there goes God, or there goes the creator, the real creator, the natural creator, and suddenly we have you know, alien gods, same as they did back in the Mount Olympus days.
Yeah, Jack God was so clever, wasn't he? I mean, all he could have designed was a fucking Perspex cake cover to stick over the Earth to keep us in. I mean,
Yahweh's terrarium.
Wow, you know, such a creative God we have, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, isn't it interesting that, you know, the guy who tells you that we live under Yahweh's terrarium is the same guy who has, before that, was telling us all about the Nephilim. And that's an interesting twist, because you have the Nephilim, who are supposed to be the fallen angels, that came here and screwed all the women and distorted all the DNA and built pyramids, whatever, okay? But they are not the creators. They're not the creators. And so I you know, I don't know who's zooming who here, okay? All I know is I almost fell for it, and I'm out. I'm not going to get zoomed anymore. Okay, I'm going to take the time to investigate all of the things. Just like you, look at the pushback that you got a week ago when you posted in my Facebook group about the curvature chart measurement thing. Okay, the 8 inches per mile squared formula, and you said, you know, this doesn't work over the whole Earth, and it only works perfectly if you're measuring from the top down of the globe. And everybody's like, what? A sphere is a sphere. What difference does it make if you start in Zimbabwe, or if you start in Dubai, or if you start in Los Angeles? What difference does it make? Okay. Well, it doesn't make any difference, except not everywhere on the Earth is equally curved. Let's say, for example, if you start at the bottom of the Himalayas or the Alps, and you start looking for curvature, you're not going to find it, because you have an incline coming at you for like a long way, right? So there's not going to be any curvature to measure there. The only place that curvature chart is accurate is over water, which is flat, or over some salt flats or flat desert that's flat for miles, okay? Because otherwise, terrain goes up and down. It's naturally not going to be 8 inches drop per mile squared over all that terrain, over all the terrain of the Earth, because we already know that it's bumpy, okay? And it goes up and down.
It doesn't. You'd have to take in, you know, if you were working on being a globe in space, as we're told it is, then if you were looking at places near the equator, it's not going to be 8 inches per mile. you know, it's a sheer drop. It's going to be a mile per mile. You know, you're just falling off the face. You know, if we were stood out at 90 degrees, you know, at the equator, you'd be just looking down an abyss, wouldn't you? That's how it would really be. But what they do when they do these curvature things, they assume that wherever you're starting from is at the top, and you start off, you know, in the first mile is only 8 inches, and then the second mile is a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. But in reality, if we were a globe, you're going to have to take into account where you are on that actual curve. And obviously, as you move around the curve, the drop gets further and further and further, so that you're into free fall after, you know, as you approach the equator. So I think they've done that deliberately so that they say that curvature cannot be measured because it's so slight.
Well, where did that original, now first, for the record, I have to say that, you know, I have several friends who did put this formula into CAD, and for a perfect sphere, it does work. It only starts to break down after 1,000 miles. Okay.
But look where you are, Laurie. Look where you are in Florida. You're about 30 degrees latitude, thereabouts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you hold the globe up to see where you are. If you were going to travel from where you live down to the equator, it's more than 8 inches per mile squared, isn't it? You know, you're going to be, if you travel a mile on a globe from where you are, you're going to be going downhill about half a mile.
Well, but that's a visual thing. I mean, the math is
that's what would be real if you were on a globe.
Right. If you were on a globe, which we're not. Yeah. So this is the part that gets hard, is debunking. The globe is one issue, and the flat earth facts and proofs are another issue. They're in the same category, but they're different departments. Okay. And so what I was saying is the formula works for a ball, and because that's the math for the ball. But on the real Earth, it doesn't work perfectly everywhere. Okay, so you have to qualify, because otherwise somebody's going to humiliate you by saying, okay, here we are at the foot of the Alps, and we're going to measure curvature going, we're on the west side of the Alps, and we're going to measure curvature going east. Okay, and we're supposed to have what? How much drop? The miles squared times 8 inches divided by 12 gives us feet, or, you know, feet. So, but we got to go up before we can ever start to measure it. So that's what I'm saying. This formula, when you're trying to do experiments to prove the lack of curvature, you're going to need to use a flat surface like water or salt flats, Kansas, something like that. Okay, because otherwise the curvature doesn't work, and then you also, or the chart doesn't work. Plus, you always have to, you know, deal with how far are you above the ground, how far is the camera above the ground, you know, how many miles is it, and all that you have in order to do these experiments, which is, you know, a moot point after you do a couple of times looking at this over water. And not everybody lives near water. I happen to live near water, and I did an experiment, and I did see that it didn't, the boat didn't go beyond the curvature of the Earth, and I was satisfied. Okay, I did my own. That's how I proved it to myself. And not everybody can do that, but they can find some places flat. And so the bottom line is this: we need to stay with what we know for sure, and we need to stop repeating and parroting what we don't know or hasn't been proven. How can you, in good conscience, tell your neighbor, your brother, your mom or dad, or your child, this is the Earth we live on, this little circle here, and it's surrounded by an ice wall, and that's what holds the water in, and that's where the edge is, and and then however much embellishment you want to put onto it after that, okay? But you already are in trouble because you don't know for sure that there's an ice wall that goes all the way around. You don't know that Antarctica and the Arctic, you don't know that the Arctic's in the center. You don't know that the ice wall goes all the way around. Where this 2 mile high ice wall all the way around came from, I have no idea. That was like that telephone game where you start, one person says something, and by the time you get to the end, it started off as a cliff and it turned into a 2 mile high ice wall. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can really have begun to wrap your mind around how high a 2 mile high ice wall is, and whether you would be able to see it from all points around this circle. Okay. You know, we've all seen the circle. We've all seen the continents planted on the circle. We've all seen, you know, the Magellan's circumnavigation of the Earth with the little arrows plopped in the circle. But somebody had to go around the bottoms of some of these, you know, South America, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. Somewhere, somebody would have seen this freaking 2 mile high ice wall. Sorry. So all we're trying to do is warn people, because you know what? I don't want to have to hide my head in the sand and go, oh, the day that CNN comes on with, we have these flat earthers here today who are going to tell us about this phenomenon sweeping the earth, with the flat earth theory, and all these people, all these millions of people don't believe we live on a globe anymore, and we want these guys to tell us, you know, what exactly is the flat earth theory, and what does the earth really look like? And then somebody, just a Mark Sargent person, starts ripping off Truman Show enclosed steampunk world with a dome, you know, over the top of it, and lava pumps going on underneath. And, you know, you can laugh and go, well, that's just Mark's theory. You know, you repeat something enough times, it's more than a theory. People start parroting what you said, okay? And you never, ever, ever miss a chance, ever, to say Truman Show enclosed world. Never heard it yet, okay? So that's a responsibility that you took on. And if you are not a disinformation agent, if you are not working for the man, if you're not a Mason, then stop saying it as if it's true, because you don't take the time to preface it with, this is my theory, this is my idea, this is not representative of the entire flat earth community or movement as a whole. You never say anything like that. You never bother to put that in there. You just automatically say, and here we are with our Truman Show. We live in a Truman Show enclosed, you know, dome enclosed world, as if it's the truth. And you make us look crazy. And I'm pissed off, and I've been pissed off about it for damn well a year now. And I'm not going to stop being pissed off until you stop saying it, until you prove it.
It is a psyop, Laurie, and it is also a cult now, because when you're in a cult, you don't argue with the leaders. So me and you, we ain't in the cult. You know, you've got to go along with what the leaders say, and everybody else says. You know, we've been, you know, we're the naughty ones because we're disagreeing with what the cult leaders say, and they'll be trying to, you know, make us look stupid. They'll be taking bits of this video tomorrow and splicing bits together, taking it all out of context, because they don't like what we have to say, because we're calling them liars. And 99% of all those people out there pumping stuff out who are well known, they're liars. And that's the problem we've got. And, you know, how this is going to get resolved is down to the people who really want to see the truth out there, is to start doing real research and stop watching YouTube crap, because that's what most of it is. You know, by all means, go and have a look and see if you can find something interesting. But if it's coming out from these big names, just ignore it. You're wasting your time.
Well, you're not only wasting your time, you're just going to get the same repeated stuff over and over. Not one new shred of nothing has come out from any of these top name people since it started. Okay, the same repeated stuff from Math Powerland, the same repeated stuff from Dubay. You know, now it's become a comedy club. You know, Math Powerland's perfectly suited for that, as well as Dubay now, who dresses up in women's clothing and mimics people. And, you know, Mark and Patricia wear some kind of a new costume, hats and gloves and sunglasses included, every week practically, to, you know, make entertainment out of it. Well, you know what? If you want to be entertained by flat earth entertainers, be my guest. Then don't come crying when CNN or whoever puts them on TV, on the Oprah show or the Bill Maher show or wherever, and just literally humiliates them to the point where, you know, they go off and nothing happens to them. Nothing happens to them. But the movement itself gets humiliated because the majority of people yesed and nodded and went along and smiled and sang kumbaya at these bullshit theories, and didn't even try to look for themselves. If somebody hadn't told you that the earth was flat, or you hadn't heard it or read it somewhere, just like me, see, I'm not pointing the finger, I'm in there too. Lawrence is in there too. Somebody said it, and then you went and looked. Okay, it's the same thing with chemtrails. Somebody said the word chemtrail, and you went out and you started looking. Oh my God, look at that! Look at that! And now I'm obsessing because now look at that. Okay, all of these things, GMOs, every single thing. You didn't figure this out for yourself. Someone, somehow, it got started, and they told you. Now, if there's a person out there who was the first person to talk about chemtrails, the first person to talk about Monsanto and GMOs, and you know, send me a message on my channel, write it in the comments that you started it, okay? And I'll give you all the credit in the world for starting it. But right now, I don't know who that is. But I do know that, for example, Math Powerland fully takes credit, wants credit, craves credit for being the guy who started this movement, okay? You can ask him. It won't take long for you to get an answer. My movement, he calls it, and he's called it that since I've known him, all right? If you're going to take credit for starting a movement, then if you tell any lies and then you don't retract it or fix it or insist that when someone takes your movement and starts going off in the wrong direction with a model, I never heard Math Powerland one time that I know of say that the AE map isn't the map or doesn't work or the model. Never heard him one time. If somebody's got that on tape, play it for me, because he's just as culpable as anyone else. So again, I got sucked in. I got sucked into there's a army of military ships guarding the perimeter of the ice wall around the round circle, and they will shoot you out of the water the minute you come close to that ice. Who started that? Where did that come from? That's not true. There's no ice wall. So where's all these military? Do you know how many military boats that would take? What is it? It would have to be 60,000 miles or something like that, Lawrence. Is that the number you've heard?
That's what somewhere? It would be if it was real, yeah.
Yeah, if there was an ice, yeah, okay. If there was a circle of ice at 60,000 miles, Do you have any idea how many military ships that would take?
Take 10 times the entire Navy, the entire world to patrol it. And even then it would be very fast.
Yeah, that's just, and nobody questioned that for a very long time.
And they'd have to be icebreakers. How many icebreakers have we got? You know, conventional ships, they wouldn't.
No, we have to pull out the Jarl, and I did it myself. I'm guilty too, but I stopped, see? And I'm saying this needs to stop, because there's new people coming in every day who are hearing about it, because we've all been very good at flat earth for a year now, you know, over and over and over. And we got BOB, and we got TILA, and we got, you know, newspapers and articles and websites coming out about it now. So it's out there. Okay. And so you got all these new people. Do you really want them to come into this thing and start repeating to the next person, 2 mile ice wall surrounded by ships, they'll shoot you out of the water if you even get near it? I mean, how dumb does that sound now? Okay. So that's the kind of crap that they're going to call us a cult. And that's cult behavior. It's just repeating stuff without and not challenging it. Because I've challenged the dome, and everybody knows it, okay? And I've had people leave my group. I've had people curse me out. I've had people say, you know, have you read the Bible? Of course I've read the Bible. What do you think half of what I think in my head is coming from? Is cross-referencing the Bible with history, with all kinds of other information. But yet, you know, I should be strung up and gutted for challenging Yahweh's terrarium or Mark Sargent's Truman Show dome, because why should I be drawn and quartered for that? Because they said so, or because I'm going against the Bible? The Bible doesn't say there's a Truman Show dome. The Bible doesn't say there's a Yahweh's terrarium. So don't even try to go there, right? There needs to be a way to see it, touch it, feel it, know it. And until there is, I'm not going to repeat it, and I'm not going to say so. All right. Well, I don't want to beat up a dead horse, but
we're covering it all again, Laurie. So
long, and it's going to keep going on, and I want to be able to crop this out of this video so I can make a little mini video out of it, little clips of what you said, little clips of what I've said, and every time I face this same question or this same pushback, I can just go, here, I'm done. Watch this. Listen. And if you still feel the same way you feel when you went in, then don't come back and don't talk to me anymore. Put me on the no-fly list. I don't care.
Yeah. Flat Earth's in a bad way. It's almost mortally wounded as it stands at the moment, and unless people start waking up to the psyop within Flat Earth, that's where we're at. It's you know, as far as I'm concerned, Flat Earth is on its knees. You know, and the vast majority of people in it now are being spoon-fed disinformation, and they've got a lot of people out there putting this disinformation out.
Well, sure, because I mean, I have a group, one group on Facebook that has getting close to, I don't know, it's over 2,700 members in it, and out of those 2,700 people, I bet you 50, if that, post anything. And maybe 100 make a comment. The rest of them are either just watching, listening, ignoring. I don't know. Maybe they're just members to be a member of something. But there's very little debate, very little argument. Most of the time now, I think people are finally at the point where they feel like they're probably walking on pins and needles around me, because you know, I've been accused of, you know, you won't let us talk about the dome. like I'm the hall monitor. You won't let us. I never take down any posts that have to do with the dome. I go in there and comment as I'm allowed to, because not only am I, you know, an equal member in the group, but I created it. And if I see disinfo being shoved around, it's my duty, I feel, to call it out and to, you know, offer the reality, or if there is no other reality, at least to say, you need to preface that by saying this is your opinion. And people say, you know, I'm not going to go around saying this is my opinion all the time. Well, as soon as you stop saying it, as soon as everybody stops saying it, then it's no longer said. And then it's no longer your opinion. It's now you're stating it as a fact.
Yeah.
So,
it's pretty sad.
So we're going to continue to pursue. That's what this show is about. We're going to continue to pursue not only the same thing that people have been doing about taking apart the globe and disassembling the globe. We're going to disassemble the current accepted map and model, and we're going to continue to look for the real. The mission is, you know, find the real map and model, and the only way to be able to do that is to continue to research the reality of what the elements are doing that makes up the map and model. Correct? I mean, how can you just draw a little sun going around a circle without plotting with data the real data of the sun? That's how we got started watching Free Energy, was because he's like, I'm sorry, people, but I want to be a flat earther, but this sun running around a circle thing doesn't work, because here's the path of the sun, here's the amount of light that it's illuminating. You remember that? That was months ago. Here's how much illumination that circling sun should have on this map moving around the circle. Okay. And you can't, it can't work, because it can't, the sun path doesn't get bigger in the southern hemisphere, southern outer ring, as we now call this azimuthal map, the outer ring. It can't travel faster. It can't cover more territory. It can't be a bigger spot. I mean, it just doesn't automatically become a wider spotlight swath in that outer circle as it is in the inner, tighter one. Okay. That's why everybody accepted it, because most people live in the northern hemisphere. I think 90% of the people live in the northern hemisphere. Think about that. Okay. So for 90% of the people, that shit works. Looks pretty good. Running around a circle, and this kind of length of day, time and day. But the problem happens, and you can go check this, because this is how I figured out that Lawrence was onto something. If the length of day in the northern hemisphere, pick a spot on any latitude, let's say what, 45, 60, the length of day in a spot in the northern hemisphere, go to the southern hemisphere, the same latitude, only the negative, the positive and the negative, the reversed one, 6 months later, because that's when it's supposed to be around the Capricorn, and here's it around the Cancer. The length of day is the same length within a few minutes of each other. Right? Did I say that right, Lawrence?
That's right, yeah. Which is impossible on the AE map. It just wouldn't work. And on the AE
works
map,
on a globe.
Yeah, AE map.
What? You know what's really interesting? It works on that sinusoidal map.
Well, it does, yeah. I know.
How about that? Don't have a problem there.
They have to reverse engineer it to make it fit. So, you know, inventing other things that you know, that were never part of any kind of flat Earth theory. It's just stuff they're making up to try and make it fit and for them to be able to sell it to people. But you know, on that particular map, you'd only get a maximum of 4 hours daylight a day on the Antarctic Circle if it went all the way around, which is completely untrue, because the Antarctic gets 24 hours of daylight, the same as the Arctic. They're as above, so below. That's the pattern with day and night. It's identical on the same latitudes, north and south, 6 months apart. You know, when people have their respective summers and winters. That's what you've got, and you can check it out for yourself on time and day. Go and find yourself a list of countries by latitude north. Get some more countries by latitude south. Find ones that have got the same latitude. Go on time and day, and you'll find, you know, look on December the 21st and June the 21st, and you will find these places have got identical lengths of day and night. And that is not possible on the AE map. And all these names that I read out earlier today, these people just choose to ignore that fact. They choose to ignore the fact that we need equatorial sundials because the sun is traveling in a straight line. They just ignore it because it's not convenient and they cannot answer it. And you know, we need some more people coming out. We need some more researchers, and you know, that's what we need. Even if it's a trickle, you know, Thomas Oldorf has made a start. We've got free energy, but there isn't many other people out there. So we're relying on you. Maybe some of you people watching now can go and do some original research, not repackaging what and we may get
hours and hours watching the same repeated misinformation videos. Spend that time doing what Lawrence just challenged you to do. Get a Mercator map out. Find a sinusoidal map. Find a map other than the azimuthal equidistant map, a flat map, square map, any of them. You can do this research because all you need to look at is latitudes. Longitudes don't matter. Longitudes are just for time. They don't alter anything as far as the way the sun moves, because it moves north and south, but it moves this way. Okay. But what I'm saying is longitude lines are for, there's 24 of them around the world. I mean, that's why they're 10 degrees each one, right? No, that's 10 degrees.
15 degrees, yeah.
And so pick a city, your city in North America, go look up what your latitude is if you don't know, and all you have to do is type in the name of your city and the word latitude, and it'll come up your city and latitude and longitude and a whole bunch of other little information like that about it. And find on the map a city in the southern hemisphere that, you know, in this case, somewhere in South America, if you live in North America, and on the same reverse latitude and longitude, if you want, and go on timeanddate.com and look up, pick a day in the spring, which would be a short day, and then in the fall in the southern hemisphere. And you'll find that those two cities on the same latitude, reverse north and south, have the same length of day in the spring in the north and the fall in the south. You'll prove it to yourself. Then what are you going to do? So, what you think about me now, right? Okay. None of the information that we have given you so far tonight is of any proof of anything other than speculation, our own opinions, our own theories, and based on our own research. So we would appreciate if you quote us on anything that you add that in there. And also, if you have a problem with anything we said, other than it's our own theory, then I invite you to leave a comment, and we will answer it. All comments on these videos are by approval only because of the tremendous amount of trolling. And so if your comment doesn't get approved because you're a troll, sorry, too bad. And we will also disable the likes and dislikes on this video because same reason. We have trolls who come on who add 20, 30, 50 dislikes before the thing even gets started. So we'll see you next week.
Everybody out today, Laurie. We've called everybody out today as perpetuating this false model. Everybody's been called out. So we should probably get, if they've watched it, I know it's been a bit disjointed this week because we've had problems with the technology and me getting a new computer. But we've called everybody out. We're going to probably get a whole lot of shit in the next week. But hey, that's good. That means we've had some kind of impact.
Well, I mean, we got a lot of shit a few weeks ago, and it was gone in a couple of days, and they went right back to their business of repeating the same stuff. So maybe if we just keep doing it and we keep showing week after week the flaws and other alternatives to look at, those are the only two things that's our mission. We're showing you the flaws in the current AE map model, circling sun, moon, 2-mile ice wall, dome over the top model. And I don't think I left anything out. And if you have proof of a dome, if you have proof of a 2-mile high ice wall all the way around, if you have proof of any of the things that we have remarked on in this video, also leave me a comment, send me a message in the private messages on the channel if you'd like, and I'll be happy to look it over and answer to it. And Lawrence and I will confer about it. Next week we'll have a guest on the show to be determined, and from now on we will have different guests. There will no longer be a panel. And it's going to be Lawrence and I discussing these same issues and expounding on it over the weeks. If that's boring to you, then unsub. And because it isn't going to get a whole lot more exciting than that. But if you're interested truly in going on this journey with us, then stay tuned and come back and we'll see where it goes. So that's all I have. You have anything else, Lawrence?
No, just, get out there and actually do some research of your own, folks. Start watching YouTube. There's nobody to watch. There's no good info out there apart from the people we've mentioned. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your energy. You're going to drain yourself, and you're going to be filling your head full of rubbish. So, stay clear of YouTube apart from the ones we've mentioned. Because it's wasting your time. Flat Earth is at a all-time low at the moment, as far as I'm concerned. It was all the time, but it's now become self-evident that the exercise to bring about this false information, it's been systematic, and it's involved huge numbers of people putting this stuff out. How they did it, I don't know, but they have, and most people have bought into it. So, we're starting off from a low point, but hopefully we're going to get a trickle of new researchers coming out, posting stuff, and that's what I'll be looking for. I look on YouTube when I'll be looking for somebody who isn't somebody I've heard of. That's the videos I'll be looking for. Anybody else, forget it. It's crap.
Yeah, it's just repackaging the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's it for tonight. And for those of you who got started on the original link, I still to this day, to this hour, don't know what happened, but I will get the glitch out by next week, and we will have live chat and we will live stream. And hopefully I won't get locked out of stuff this next time. So thanks for joining us, and this will archive and replay as soon as it processes. So you can share it with your friends, and we'll share the link on in the Facebook groups and stuff like that, and see where it goes. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Good night, everybody. Sleep well.
Free our flat Earth.
I mean, that's what we need.
Yeah.
Are we still on?